death it's not real. It's not real. It's just a programming of fear. I merged with this being and I felt it. And we shot up out of the bed, out of the room, into the like galaxy. And we continued to go and into the sun. I saw all these flowing rivers and all of these mountaintops. And within these mountaintops were these beautiful, beautiful buildings of emerald and gold and rubies. I'm a firm believer that we live in a natural simulation ran by consciousness, not like some AI being controlled by a computer or anything like that, not the conspiracy, but the truth that our mind is creating the reality around us. And as I started to consistently transform my mind, it started to reflect within my body in a very short period of time. My liver was restored, kidneys were restored. My body started to transform and reflect. My depression led me to taking my own life. The next thing that I noticed, I don't know how much time went on during this time. I was outside of my body and I could see my lifeless body laying on the bed. I had yet to really understand what had fully taken place. I was still kind of confused, but I knew that I was seeing myself laying there on the bed. The next thing that I remember is being carried out in a bag of some sort. My boyfriend at the time, of course, is the one who found me, and he said I was carried out within a sheet into the ambulance. So that kind of adds up. I perceived it to be a bag. Um, the next thing that I remember is waking up in the hospital, and I was very disoriented, and I could hear everything going on around me. I didn't know what was going on um, with me. I just could hear chaos and everyone talking, and my eyes, I couldn't open them. From this point, I fell under, and the first thing that I can remember is almost like a ripping of my body. It was like, I can't really explain it. It was just, it felt like I was being pulled in half. And then I started to come up out of my body. And as I looked around me, everything was brick. Everything was this ruby, dark red, and black brick all around me. And I had this silver cord attached to me, and it was also attached to these two tablets. One was a little bit larger, one was a little bit smaller. They were attached to me, of course, in this spirit form that I was. And I started to float up out of the body, and I started to go down the hallway of this place that I was at. It was very dim. The lighting within this place was really stood out to me because it was so dark. It's like a yellow dim. And I started to glide through this sliding glass door. Remember this very large glass door, and I was able to go through it. And as I went through it, I came outside, and there was green grass everywhere. It was really, really pretty, very vibrant green. And there were these two trees. Why I felt called to go up these trees, I don't know, but I did. And as I started to go up and glide up the first one, I kept falling back down. So I went over to the other tree and I was able to go up it. And as I went up it, it was almost like it was expanding as I went up. And it morphed into some tree house of some sort. And there was a television inside this tree house. And there was static going down. And as I was examining it and just kind of like very curious, like what is going on, I woke back up in the hospital. And as I woke back up this time, I was able to open my eyes just slightly, and I could see that I was in a hospital room. I was able to identify that. They started asking me all these questions. Do you know your name? Do you know why you're here? And I was just so weak at that point, I was unable to fully come to. And then I fell back under. And this time, when I fell back under, once again, I was in this brick building. And I came up out of the body, attached to the two tablets that had coding coming down it, symbols and numbers. And this time, instead of going left through the sliding glass door, I went out the other side. And as I went down the hallway, I saw two individuals that are alive in my reality today. Their names were Brittany and Stephanie. They could not see me. And why I saw these individuals, I still don't know to this day. But I did see them. And so I continued going down the hallway out the front door. I presume it was the front. And I saw the tree that I had previously gone up. I once again glided up and it transformed into this treehouse. And the television was there once again. But this time there was not static coming down the screen. It was all these little glimpses of life. And in that moment, I automatically knew what this was, that these were all glimpses of every life that I ever lived or will live. I do not know how I knew that, but I knew it with certainty. Um, as I started to put my focus in more towards the screen, because they were all such little tiny glimpses, I saw the reality of me laying lifeless on the bed. And then to the right of that, I saw a glimpse of me hooked up to all of these machines within the hospital. And as I started to put my focus awareness towards this image, I started to morph into it, almost like a sucking into the screen. I could feel the vortex of my energy going in towards it. And then once again, I woke up in the hospital and I was aware at that point that I had tubes and everything on me and that I was restrained. I was actually tied to the bed. I was able to fully open my eyes for a very brief moment. And as I did, they started to ask me the questions again, like, what's your name? Why are you here? And I fell back under. And as I was falling back under, I could hear the nurses yelling, she's seizing, but there's no sign of brain activity on the monitor. And then I fell fully under. And this time when I woke up, I was no longer in that brick building. I was in the dirt. I was like a whole layer of dirt over me. And as I started to glide up, the dirt started falling off. I did not have a body at this time, but I knew that the dirt was coming off of me and I could feel it. So I did have some of my senses. As I started to glide up out of this dirt, I realized there was a cross to my left, a cross directly in front of me, and a cross to my right. And I started to float up and I started to go towards, almost like I was being pulled towards this huge rock. And as I started to gravitate towards this rock, it started to open up and it was this cave. And when I went into this cave, I could see skull fragments all over the ground. If they were my own or another's, I do not know, but they were everywhere. And as I started to go into this cave, I realized that it was like shattered glass, almost, and I could see that the reflections off of all the different angles. And I saw this fiery serpent. I did not see any other image within this cave but this image, so I perceived it to be me. As I started to look around and like look close to the mirror, I turned into this black tar substance. And then I saw a baby in an incubator. And if I had a body at this point, it would be like I was holding this baby, this child within my arms. However, I did not have a body, so it was floating directly in front of me. And then at this point, I woke up again in the hospital. This time, when I woke up in the hospital, I was able to stay lucid for I think about 10, 15 minutes where they were asking me these questions, but I was still very, very weak. And I fell back under once again. And this is when I had the heavenly vision. Um, I was, I saw this being, and he was beautiful. He had a purple sash around his waist. He had green eyes, long, flowy, curly hair, and I merged with this being, this beautiful being. It was like a merge, and I felt it. And we shot up out of the bed, out of the room, out of the into the like galaxy. It was really cool. and I could feel the light speed and of everything, of the movement. And we broke out of Earth, of the complete atmosphere of Earth, where there's stars all around us, and I could see Earth underneath us. And we continued to go and into the sun. I perceived it to be the sun. It was very warm when we entered. I could feel it on my face if I had a body. This was just how I'm perceiving it, of course. And as we entered into the sun, I saw all these flowing rivers and all of these mountaintops. And within these mountaintops were these beautiful, beautiful buildings of emerald and gold and rubies. This is what it was made out of. And we flew to the very top of this mountaintop, the highest one. And when we got to the very top of it, we just went straight through the wall, and there was two children sitting side by side. And what was playing on the screen in front of one child was playing on the screen that was in front of the other child, and vice versa. So they were glazed over, staring at these screens. And at that point, I did not really understand why I was being shown this um, until I heard, "You are a messenger." They don't speak where I was. They don't speak like with language how I'm speaking with you now. It's all telepathically transmitted within your own mind. And so as I heard, "You are a messenger," I suddenly immediately knew that mine was creating reality, and that that was the image that was shown to me with these two children. And I felt this overwhelming love, like this safe peace feeling that I've searched for my whole life in this world, and I have yet to experience this to its fullest as I did in this moment. And it just consumed me. How long I was within that feeling, I do not know. But after that, I shot back down into my body, and I woke up, and I was in the hospital, and I was lucid from that point on, and everybody was asking me questions. And that's my full experience.
That's an incredible story. Thank you for so much. And I have so many questions. In the heavenly vision, you've talked about how you felt like love and peace, but before that, kind of when you were going through this brick house or brick building, and when you were in the cave, what kind of feelings were you feeling?
Looking back on it, I would presume that I would be feeling fear, but fear was nowhere there. It was more of a curiosity and kind of a confusion, just trying to make sense of what was going on. It was really the only thing that I was feeling leading up to that heavenly vision.
I'm glad you didn't feel fear. You mentioned Brittany and Stephanie. Did you know them before this experience?
Yeah, so I knew these young ladies growing up. They were my friends. One was my friend in high school, and one was my friend in my more adult years. Why I saw them, I don't know. But I did see them, and I knew and I could identify that who they were.
And then you mentioned the tablets beside you, or when you were waking up in this brick building, and they had codes on them. Do you know why those were there? Or do you have any suspicions about what the codes might have meant?
So, with my understanding now, I am a firm believer that we live in a natural simulation ran by consciousness, not like some AI being controlled by a computer or anything like that, not the conspiracy, but the truth that our mind is creating the reality around us. And I believe that this is what was a symbolic representation of. At the time that it was happening, I had no idea what it was. But as I have grown and I have come to a deeper understanding of the symbolicness of this entire event that took place for me, I have come to the conclusion that that is what it was representing.
That makes a lot of sense. I think you're right about this being some sort of simulation. Um, and I think the thing that I'm most curious about is when you saw the two boys. on the screens. Why do you think they were watching screens?
I believe that this also was a symbolic reference being shown because if with what I understand now is that everything out in our outer world is a reflection of what's going on inside of us internally. What we're believing to be true of ourselves and others is being displayed for our own personal experience out in our world. So I believe that the reason that they were looking at these screens and what was playing on one was playing on the other is because we're all kind of co-creating our experience, and the outer world is the screen that is reflecting the story we're telling within our own consciousness. So I think that there was more of a symbolic representation of this.
There's so many different layers, I feel like, to your story, and I think that's really special. When you were recovering after the heavenly vision, did you feel any connection to the other side?
At that time, I was really just more confused, but most certainly as I have walked my journey following this experience, I have a deep connection to that other side, an understanding of who I am and how this world works. And I believe that I'm in a direct connection to it. Um, and that is something that I did not have previous to this experience.
Amazing. And how was it like recovering and getting back into your life again? Were you able to find peace?
So immediately after, I mean, I still had all my same issues. I was ill. I was, the depression still was there, but it wasn't as active following this experience. I knew that I had experienced something very profound, and I was just wanting to make sense of it. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to understand why they said I was a messenger when I'm like, how could I ever, what message, first off, and how could I ever help another when I'm here, in lack myself? So coming back, I really had this sense of something within me guiding me to wisdom. I started to write myself love notes. I don't know why. I didn't understand why at that point. I started saying affirmations. I started meditating, where I had no idea what meditation was before. And I just started to sit silently and to really pay attention to the thoughts that were going through my mind. And I did this all organically. I had not read a self help book or anything. The only book I had read up until this point in my life was school books and the Bible. Um, so it was all coming from within me. And as I started to consistently transform my mind, it started to reflect within my body in a very short period of time. My liver was restored, kidneys were restored. My body started to transform and reflect that inner work that I've been doing. I started losing weight. The depression was completely lifted within 3 months. I was just happy and excited about life again, that I had not felt that in years. If I'd ever felt it ever actually, if I've ever felt it, because my whole life I had always been within that depression, even from a very early age. So this was a completely new feeling for me.
Do you recommend other people write themselves love notes?
With the love note, now looking back at why I was led to do that, is I see it as I was writing scripts for my life. I was rewriting how I was viewing myself. I was rewriting these thoughts that I have adopted through my outer world and through the programming that I had been witnessing in my own life through family dynamics, friends, music, television. I was rewriting my inner dialogue. So that is why I believe that the transformation took place, is because I was shifting my awareness into a completely different story, a completely different identity. I was no longer identifying with the individual who was depressed. I was no longer identifying with addiction. I was no longer identifying with looking for love outside of me, because I had felt it so fiercely and so purely within my own being. So I started to really step into this new identity. And that's why I believe that my my body started to reflect that change. So yes, I would highly, highly recommend um, writing yourself love notes. Is just another word for it would be writing scripts for your life, writing a new identity.
That's incredible how your physical body was also able to change through that. And it sounded like it didn't take long. I feel like for some people, it can be really hard to motivate oneself to start to do this. What do you recommend people start with if they're just starting this journey?
I highly recommend, where I started is starting to just make that space for new thoughts to come in. And that's done through meditation. It's done through breath work. Really creating this blank space so you can invite in new ideas, a new identity. That is the very first thing that I ever started doing, was really just sitting there and silencing the mind for as long as I could. When I first started, I can only do it for like 1 or 2 minutes, and then my focus would go everywhere. But with consistency, just starting there is life changing. Um, Taking baby steps and understanding that you're not going to get it all done in one day, and that's okay. But when you stay consistent with just making um, one step in the right direction, and you consistently do this, you are planting a new pattern within your mind of consistency. So it will be easier for you to add in other techniques and other ways to really transform your mind. So starting with meditation and breath work is highly, highly recommended by me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I hope people who are watching this start to adopt that. I did a community poll just like from our subscribers, and about half of the people who are subscribed to this channel do meditation, and then about half don't. So hopefully we can get more people to try it out.
Yeah.
When did you find Neville Goddard?
I fell in Neville Goddard about 2 years after my experience. And when I found his work, oh, um, that last bit of doubt, that last bit of fear that I had within me was really around the topic of, what are people going to think of me? I can't speak it out loud. Really, am I going crazy? But then I'm having these changes in my body, so I can't be crazy. But it was still kind of a confusion I had. So when I found his work and saw that everything that I had experienced and was walking in my own life now was adding up completely to what this gentleman was speaking almost 100 years ago within his beautiful works of his lectures and books. So I dove all the way in. I just started studying it, listening to it at nighttime. Every single night, I would listen to his audiobooks, I would listen to his lectures while I was resting. And it really helped shape that last bit of my transformation, of really shifting my awareness into knowing that God exists within us, and we are an expression of that one God. We all are. I am no better than the next. We are all equal, and we are all choosing, either through awareness or unawareness, the world in which we live, how we experience it, because it's a direct reflection of the thoughts within our mind that we are consuming ourselves with all day, our inner dialogue, what we're believing to be true of ourselves and others. And so, coming to Neville Goddard's work, this really deepened my understanding of mind creating reality around us. And it has guided me, and I have walked this walk now with Neville Goddard's understanding since the moment I found him.
I absolutely love that. I saw a video on your channel about talking about something he talks about as well, the law of attraction and the law of assumption. Can you tell me the difference between those two laws? Because I did not know there was one before I watched your video about it.
Yes, so the law of attraction is more like you're still believing in an outside source, that you are attracting something in, that the power's still outside of you. The law of assumption is an understanding that you know that the power lies within you. what you're choosing to believe as true, you will always be given proof of. So you're not believing in any external force outside there. The only power that there is the power that we have within ourselves. So when you assume something to be true, it always will be for you. That is why you see so many people all over the world like, no, my way's the right way. No, my way's the right way. And both parties will have complete proof that their way is correct. And that this is why is because of the unfailing law of assumption. Whatever you believe to be true shall be true unto you. So, what I perceive the difference between the law of assumption and the law of attraction is the law of attraction is still believing that there's a power outside of your own system.
Okay. And is there a certain one that you think is best for people to practice?
I'm not one to be like one's good and one's not. I mean, whatever way you decide. I studied with law of attraction before finding Neville Goddard's work and understanding that God is within and that my power of belief is how um, I'm going to experience my world. Before I found that, I had many great experiences with the law of attraction. But now I know the reason I did was because of my own belief. It was my own belief in something that brought it to life. And so, if you are studying with the law of attraction, by all means, I'm not saying that one is good and one is bad. Whatever way gets you to the understanding, the fulfillment of knowing yourself to be the great I am.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. I'd like to pivot a bit here. What would you tell people who have doubts about NDEs?
Well, so when it really comes to this, everyone's going to come to a point in their life where they are going to have ears to hear and they are going to be able to receive this information without judgment and without doubt. And so, if you are yet at that point in your life and this, is kind of creating a fear within you or a doubt within you, by all means, I'm not here to try and convince anyone or put any pressure on them to speed up their own personal journey. I believe full-heartedly that everyone will have their moment.
I love that. What would you tell people who fear death?
I can only speak from my own experience, and I understand that until you have your own experience of something, um, fear is going to kind of always be there. Because how do you know something to be true? You have to have your own experience of it. Otherwise, it's just hearsay. You can lean more into your faith and your belief that all things are okay and that you are an eternal being. Um, but for me, because of my experience, I know that we truly are eternal beings and that we do. Death is it's not real. It's not real. It's just a programming of fear, um, and that's all that it is. So I don't know if I could really give words of encouragement to let go of that fear because it's a deep embedded program within our system. But if you're hearing my story here today and it is resonating with you, I hope that it gives you peace if you are currently in that state of mind of fear of death.
I do find that comforting. How many years ago was your near death experience?
I believe we're coming up on 5 years, or maybe closer to six. I've lost count, but I do know that the last few years have felt like an eternity. It just feels like a whole lifetime ago. It's just even like talking about it now, it feels so distant from me that I'm a completely renewed, transformed person. So it feels like almost like I'm talking about a stranger's life.
That's crazy. Yeah, because it 5 years ago wasn't that long ago, actually, 6 years ago. So that's quite a dramatic change. We talked about kind of as you were recovering, but what's your life like today?
Today, I wake up every morning excited about life. Um, I live my life in gratitude. Yeah, I have my challenging moments from time to time, but I never, ever have felt that helplessness ever since this experience. my journey of spirituality and understanding of who I am. So I have the right tools to work through these challenging times if they do present themselves to me. I have a loving husband who I adore. I love my children who are in my life again, and I am close with my mother, my sisters, I love dearly, my brother. All my relationships are reflecting love, and I'm just grateful for the life that I get to live and for the work that I do. I get to now inspire others and love others and show them that they are special and that they are powerful and to remind them of who they truly are. I get to do that for a living. I really, I'm happy. I'm happy, and even on the challenging days, I'm grateful.
That makes me so happy to hear. For people who are watching this interview, how can they hear more about your message and how can they maybe follow you after this?
Yeah, so I have my new website, www.lisaeverhart.com. You can find all of my uploads from my YouTube channel also on there. I have a YouTube channel of Account for Your Ability 22, or you can also look up just my name. I have many groups on Facebook platforms, Account for Your Ability, Lisa Everhart, Just Imagine, and the Inner Gym. And I also do sessions, one-on-one sessions on online as well.
Amazing. Okay, I'll include all of those links in the description of this video. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. I know it's early for you, and I appreciate you squeezing me in. This is an incredible story. I'm very grateful to have heard it.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today. It was a blessing.